Hello everybody and welcome to episode 18 of Let's Play Battlefield Iraq. Today we are fighting in the northern province of Kirkuk against an attempt by American Special Forces to seize control of the area's oil fields. Surprisingly enough, the Iraqi High Command has been able to spare quite a lot of equipment for this battle, meaning one of two things. Either the Iraqi army has a lot of equipment and basically doesn't have anything to do with it, or that our victories against the Americans have been so great so far that we have been able to spare even more of our scant equipment for this campaign. Whichever it may be, it will nonetheless be a testament to the might of the Iraqi army. Another testament to the might of the Iraqi army would be if I can get out of this trench. Let's take out this American vehicle first. Oh great, it's a Bradley. Well, we'll take this Bradley out anyway. These Americans are trying to flank us in this Humvee. Well, it won't work. We've knocked out the Bradley. Now let's take out this Humvee as well. First contact has resulted in Iraqi success, in Iraqi victory. This is good. However, the Americans are determined today, because they are elite forces. They aren't the rank and file that we have been fighting against before this. Those poor conscript soldiers who were drafted here. No, today we are fighting against the cream of the crop. We are fighting against the US Marines. But to me that only means one thing. It means that our victory against them will be even sweeter. Now I'm going to charge towards this radio control tower and try to evict the Americans from it. Because this is the only way that we will be able to properly coordinate our operations. Crap, we got run over by a Bradley. I was hoping to get into that Humvee over there and to use it against them. Let's reconsider and pull ourselves back together. We've got to plan our next move. The fact is that this is a crucial battle if we want to achieve victory on this front. Because if the Americans can seize the Kirkuk oil fields, it will mean that we will be crippled militarily, because the Americans will be left with an outpost behind our lines. And we would be crippled not only militarily, as I have said, but also economically, because the Kirkuk oil fields are the only oil fields of Iraq which have been kept away from the fighting up until now. If the Americans manage to capture them or to destroy them, Iraq will be left in a very, very precarious situation. Now, I'm going to use this Gvozdik artillery piece to launch some shells at neighboring Americans. It seems that I've accidentally killed 4 of my own men. I'm just going to write that off as collateral damage because honestly, I'm a war hero and I cannot afford to be court-martialed. As you can see, I just knocked out an Abrams tank. Sure, it means that I team-killed another one of my Iraqi comrades, but I don't care at this point. If you ask me, an Abrams is worth a lot more than one Iraqi soldier, who probably couldn't even tell left from right. I can imagine most of these soldiers would have ribbons sewn onto their sleeves to show them what direction is left and what direction is right. Because from their actions so far, I can say that they are idiots. And when I say idiots, I mean it. They're the dumbest soldiers I've ever seen. They make even the Americans look smart. And crap, it looks like they're actually blowing up our oil fields. Our oil wells, I mean. Well, not on my watch. We don't have any explosives, so I guess we'll have to take cover behind these oil storage thingies. I can't remember the name. Silos, I think. That's it, silos. Please tell me in the comments section if silo is the correct word. Motherfucking mine. And it was a friendly one too. At least that guy felt morally obliged to revive me. Thank you, Habibi. I am eternally grateful. Now we're gonna get a vehicle and launch another attack. Ooh, a BMD-1. Now this is going to be good. In a previous episode, I was able to knock out an American Abrams tank with one of these, so I have high hopes. And these hopes will become reality if we can take this radio control outpost. First we'll take out this American vehicle, which is attempting to conquer our base. Luckily our comrades did that for me. So let's take out this Humvee instead. Trying to drop explosives on me, are you? Well, it won't succeed. You Americans will do nothing. Now let's advance on this base. We must seize the radio control tower to be able to coordinate our offensives. Because if we continue the way that we are, we cannot win this battle in the long term, or even in the short term. We've got to seize this base because it is of crucial importance. And if we do seize it, we'll have this Bradley under our control as well. And crap, we're losing the northern oil field. This is very bad. Because that refinery will be completely and utterly useless if we don't have access to crude oil. So I'm going to take this radio control post to try and distract the Americans' attention. We've got some comrades approaching us as well. Hopefully they'll be able to survive. Though there still seems to be a small amount of Americans trying to resist. Now let's try and knock out this Abrams before he knows better. Crap, there's two of them! Well, let's do this. Let's fight! I'm gonna whip out my RPG launcher, and they've captured the base already. God damn it! Let's try again. This time, I am going to attack in the direction of the support base. Because if we can take the support base quickly enough, we'll have outflanked the Americans. We've got about 600 meters to cover in this Jeep, and at the speed at which we're going right now, I think that we can do it pretty quickly. Let's go onto this dirt road, using this beautiful Soviet-made Jeep, which can most certainly stand the conditions, and let's approach this base as quickly as fucking possible. Now, I should probably curse less, because according to YouTube, my videos ought to be age restricted. You might notice this on episode 17 of Battlefield Iraq. This might be because of cursing, it might be because of the simulated, hyper-realistic violence in this game. I honestly don't know. But whatever it is, it means that anybody below the age of 18 isn't going to have access to my videos anymore. Please post supportive statements in the comments. Either way, I'd really like some advice as to how to fix this all. And until I do receive this advice, I'm just going to continue going the way that I am right now. So let's charge once more into the breach. Let's teach Mr. Bush's cronies how to fight a war, and more importantly, how to win a war. I'm going to take this T-62 off the beaten track, and I am going to attack the radio outpost once more. I shall leave no stone unturned in my attempt to fight for Iraq, to save Iraq, and to win the Gulf War. Because we are carrying on the legacy of the ancient civilizations which first inhabited this area. The civilizations of Sumer, Akkad, and, most importantly of all, Babylon. And just as Babylon fought against the Jews in ancient times, in antiquity, we shall fight against the Zionists here and now. We have breached the perimeter, and our gunner has successfully killed that American. We have captured a Bradley armored vehicle as well, and all is looking good. So long as the Americans don't try to flank us, I believe that we can capture this base. Nonetheless, this looks like it'll become a two-part episode regardless. Now we spotted this Abrams, let's take it out. We've got 2 shots landed on him already and he hasn't even noticed us. Let's try again. Shot 3. And he's now making his way towards us. He's fired his first shot. We've fired our 4th shot. He's caught fire. This is good. We've landed a proper effective shot. 1 more and we should be able to knock him out. There we go. The Abrams has been knocked out and the Americans are falling back. Their counter-offensive shall falter in the face of our resistance. Now let's launch a high explosive shell at these American bastards. Actually, we'll resort to the machine gun, come to think of it, because the way things are going, I think I'm going to run out of shells before I defeat the Americans. So I'm going to advance. I'm going to have to use my shells wisely to conserve them in my fight against the Yanks. And I am going to destroy all who stand in my way. Now let's teach a good, well-deserved lesson to these servants of evil. And the Americans knocked me out with one of those portable rocket launchers. God damn them is all I can say. Honestly. They're putting up too much resistance. We need to hold these oil fields, and I will not allow the Americans to resist. They should know by now that resistance is futile. I'm going to take this Humvee, and I'm going to run over whatever American I see. There we go, that is our first American dead already. Let's get another one. Let's run them over with a proud battle cry if we can. We've made our way into their base. And we have screwed up. They've retaken the North Oil Field, or should I say they've taken it, plain and simple. And it's my job to take it back. We cannot allow these oil fields of Kirkuk to fall into the hands of the Yankee menace, of these evil Americans. We must defeat this empire of evil and bring it to its knees. Our men have captured the support base, but now we must shift our focus to the North Oil Field. We are gaining an advantage against the Americans now. All is going well. For all I know, this could be turned into a 1-part episode if we play wisely. And that's what I'm going to do. In the name of the dear President Saddam Hussein, I shall charge into the breach, and I shall strike against these Americans. I shall strike a death blow, and I shall retake these oil fields for Iraq. And whoever dares to stand in my way shall be annihilated. Resistance so far in this area seems to be limited. Let's hope that it stays that way. Because we don't have too many shells, and I'd rather not waste them against these American bastards. I might take this American Abrams tank if I can capture this base successfully, but until then I'm not going to risk clambering out of this tank. We've killed 2 more Americans with a shell. Sure, we have to consider the economics of all this, but the way it's looking right now, this base will be ours very soon. Unfortunately, however, the Americans have attacked the radio control outpost, and we might just lose it. So I'm going to take this North Oil Field as quickly as I can. And now, because it is a very important target, I'm going to take this Abrams tank and use it to reconquer the radio outpost. With the oil fields under our control, our supply of crude oil shall continue as before. This is good because it means that we can flood the world markets with oil and undervalue American and Saudi exports. thereby striking against the Americans and their allies, not only militarily, but also economically. Now let's take out these Americans and make them regret the day that they invaded Iraq. We shall take out this Bradley, set it on fire, create a nice little bonfire here, and continue to advance. This Abrams is making an awful lot of noise, but if you ask me, it's worth the quality of the tank. After all, we have electronically assisted turret rotation, reload mechanisms, and a lot more. Though the Americans are so desperate now that they're using BMD-1s captured from us. It's like one of those movies where like two people swap bodies, basically. We're swapping our BMDs for American Abramses. And if you ask me, we're the ones who will benefit the most. How dare you! Now these American helmets must be made of adamantium or some shit like that, because otherwise I don't understand how they'd be able to survive 3 high caliber machine gun bullets to the head. The American howitzer strikes again. I thought I'd destroyed the last of those at 73 Easting, but it turns out that I was mistaken. We've got to take it out if we want to hold this base. So let's strike from behind this building, we'll use some guerrilla tactics. We've taken it out! Allahu Akbar! Now we can continue our advance. Fuck you, US IBOT 16, you goddamn traitor! I'm gonna report you to the local Ba'ath Party Committee and you're gonna get shot! I'm gonna go back to the main base and get a proper vehicle. Honestly, I am just sick to the teeth of these incompetent allies of mine. We've lost the North Oil Field once again! This is bad news. Very, very bad news. Because the Americans are starting to close the gap that exists between our points. And I cannot allow this under any circumstances whatsoever. And that American with his Abrams is basically causing genocide. Fucking fantastic, it honestly is. I am going to charge into battle once again, and I am going to make my voice heard. Make my opinions heard. It is going to be all over the international news, trust me on that. And by that I mean the real news, not the fake news that the Americans are showing you on ABC, NBC, CNN, Fox News, or any of those goddamn channels. No siree, not at all today. It will be shown on Iraq TV, the only source of truth in the Middle East. Now I'm going to use this Humvee to take out this captured tank, because I cannot allow the Americans to defeat us. Using 3 different weapons, a T-72, an RPG, and an Abrams tank, we have successfully stopped that American from killing me, and thereby from stopping our offensive. We now have a good chance at recapturing this oil field. And US IBOT 6 has pulled up next to us with his vehicle, but it seems to be like the Americans are attempting an infantry offensive, so I'm going to strike back. Here we go! Death to America! That tow missile was pretty effective and I'm happy with it. But we've got to keep striking more and more. I might as well tell everybody that this is one of the final battles of the Iraq War by the way of the Gulf War. There will be only 2 more battles after this one. And if you ask me, those 2 battles will spell a clear Iraqi victory at the end. So this battle is obviously quite crucial, because if we do not win it, we will not have the capabilities to win the next 2. We've got to hold Kirkuk so that we have a place to fall back on if the Americans do manage to defeat us in the south. I'm sounding awfully morbid here, but it's always a possibility. So we've got to consider it now and always. Even if it's only at the back of our minds, we've got to remember. Now, let's take the support base while our comrades seize the radio tower. The Americans are attacking! God damn it! Knocked out by a Sheridan. Very, very shameful for me. Since this has made me feel a little depressed, to be honest, I am going to whip out my book of Saddam Hussein quotes. And I am going to search for the most appropriate quote right now, to condemn these American Zionists and their Israeli masters in Tel Aviv. That American just survived a cannon shot to the head, so I'm really getting suspicious now. Anyway, I found a quote in my book, so here we go. To quote the great Saddam Hussein, "By Allah, we will make the fire eat up half of Israel if it tries to do anything against Iraq. Whoever threatens us with the atomic bomb will be annihilated with the dual chemical. Whatever this chemical may be, it is probably illegal, but at this point, international law is something that I couldn't care less about." Christ's sake! I'm gonna whip out another RPG and fight these Americans head on. We have more points than they do, but the battle still looks like it might not go our way. So let's keep going. Let's keep fighting. I'm going to use this BMD against the Americans because if you ask me, it is superior to the Bradleys and to the Abramses. And Christ's sake, goddammit, it's a BMD-2, which is honestly a piece of shit compared to the BMD-1 anyway. It doesn't have a proper tank gun, instead it has one of these pea-shooter cannons. Luckily we have a tow missile that we can use to knock out American tanks. Now let's advance on this American base and bring their campaign to an end. Unfortunately they are dealing heavy casualties against our tanks, so we'll need to act prudently. I'm gonna go around these rocks, fire off a rocket at that Bradley, and basically play cat and mouse until I can actually shoot him properly. And an Abrams has stopped me, and we have lost the radio outpost. Well, well, well. These Americans will be in for a surprise now, however, because I am going to take this Gvozdik artillery piece, and before I do that, however, I am going to shoot this incompetent bastard right here, who is 100% useless, useless, useless! He is an insult to Iraq, and he has brought shame to his country. May he go to hell. Now I'm going to go back into battle to challenge these Americans one more time. I'm afraid that this episode might be longer than half an hour, and so I am going to put an end to part 1 right here and right now. I have been the Nerd Gamer. Thank you very much for watching. Tune in next time to see the rest of this episode of Battlefield Iraq.